One of the videos that I did years ago was entitled Meeting Archons Along the Road of Life. And for those of you that are well versed in your comparative religion, you would understand that an archon is a demon, is a jinn, is a asura. I've been on the road of life traveling full time. And then in some cases I settle down for a while, but I pretty much have left Portland, Oregon since 2010, 2011. And I've dealt with various disruptions and sabotage at key areas and key points, and also key points in the solar cycle. So I'm going to review some of that while reflecting on what I'm going through now, while meditating on solutions and things that I should not do. So I'm recording this right now at a park with fewer people around, because ultimately whatever I'm doing here attracts what's called interference or opposition. And it's what happens when there's a force, say in a region, that wants to push us out when maybe we're there to push them out. Depending on how you view the whole control structure and situation in the unseen realms, and the control of people, the control of cults, the control of spiritual communities for the purpose of energy harvesting. And we humans have a lot of energy emitting from us. However, the intelligence from the humans on the ground does not always match the energy emitting from that human. In other words, I don't know how to tell you this, but in the real world, we are lunch when we are not protected. And down the line, humanity is going to become fish food. So we're on our path to some sort of, people use the word collapse a lot, but we mean different things when we say it. But what is taking place is earth-changing, cosmic-changing events. Alignments, all different types of things are taking place, where right now Earth is the cosmic dance floor with all different types of street fights, and missing bouncers, people being kidnapped, and it's basically a blood sport. So in a world like that, you have the reality of how it came to be. And worlds like that with problems like ours don't come to be because people wind up one day being mentally ill. It comes to be because of the spiritual frequency in certain areas, allowing those things to take place. And so one of the things that I'm advocating is a form of spirituality that's not me, but is actually, and I'm going to move beyond the word inclusive, but includes everybody. But when I started the day today, and I did a 30-minute discussion, right? Sitting there at the other park, feeling the energies, the opposition will come through in the form of human beings that want to say something negative to take away somebody's confidence. Now that's actually low level. That's a low level. Higher level would be police contacts, assaults, but a low level would be, here it goes. Conversation starts like this. Hey, how are you? Oh, I'm fine. How are you? Well, what's your story? Oh, I'm such and such. Well, what are your numbers? What do you mean, what are my numbers? What are your metrics? Oh, boy. Anybody who starts off going, what's your metrics? What's your size? You know what I mean? They're about status. And then so I tell this guy, he used to be like the code enforcer agent for the town of Crestone. I talk about solar flares, and they're linked to the crime waves taking place and spirit. Oh, everybody here talks about that. Really? Oh, yeah. Everybody here talks about that. Bullshit. And if they are talking about that, they're talking about that in small circles, and they're not uploading that. And I'm not for secret societies that are unnecessary. I'm for the spreading of light and information for everybody. So what channel is it? Who's the guy do I talk to? Exactly. What it is I'm trying to come in and go, I have a very important puzzle piece for all of your spiritual communities. And it's important that you sit down and understand that this is real. The effect of the sun is real. And there's more to it than lovey-dovey or trying to be the Buddha. The sun is hot. Okay, the sun is an influence over major disturbances on the earth. The sun is not just something that's going to bring an enlightenment flash. I'm sorry, David Wilcock, up there in space, wherever. But this is the real world of blood and guts. Okay? And so that conversation ended and he wasn't interested in more information. So we would consider that to be something that I saw as something that could be energy draining. Immediately after that, another lady comes prancing in who has a wiring in her conspiracy new age brain to pretty much respond to everything that I'm saying that I'm wrong. And she's pretty hardcore about that. So whether it be the vape, whether it be saying good morning, I said good morning, and then she's criticizing the word morning. And I'm like, oh, geez, facepalm. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to have a good morning without coffee. Can't we just be friends? So then I get upset, start ranting and raving, and I excuse myself from the table in hopes that she'll get the hint and leave. She doesn't. But then eventually she does. Then another lady comes. Stay with me here. And she's like, you know what? I'm really sick of you taking up this bag. And she's complaining about my computer being plugged in and the box being plugged in. Let's get Gypsy on the line. And what it is, I never have this phone ever on regular mode. It's always on airplane mode. But I am making an exception here. So basically,
hello, please state your name after the tone, and Google Voice will try to connect you.
Alex in Crestone, Colorado. So essentially, she was attacking me for just simply being there. And on the physical side, this is a hippie type. But this person was lacking the equanimous, peaceful nature to peacefully ask me to unplug. So when I talk about my role here to push out negative influences, it's very, very real.
No.
Caller, you're on the air. You just won a new prize. We are live on the air. We're not actually live, but we are recording. And in the lead up, we've been recording for 7 minutes. I gave an overview of what I just told you about the 3 stories in 1 hour and how I interpreted that to be an attack on my frequency and validation that there's maybe an unseen force that works through these humans that wants to push me out. And then that unseen force or that personality type that we talk about, it'll exist even in like some truther types or people that are like purporting to. So it's like, I'm not attacking, and I'm gonna pause here, women per se, but I'm saying that in our modern day and age, there is this type of schizophrenic, hallucinatory, there's something going on to where they're not themselves anymore, you know, and they can be capable of a lot of emotional, psychological damage to empaths. And, you know, Gypsy, to be honest, and I'm going to hand over to you and get your honest opinion on how you're responding to what I'm saying and what you think. I think sometimes people size people up before they attack them. I have more stories to tell. What is your response to some of this? Because I think that you have stories also to share with weird people that you've met along the road who just like flipped out for no rational reason. And then as you get into that, were those things happening to you at this rate 10 years ago or 20?
Not that long ago, but definitely you're correct. I have the exact same things happen to me. But what's worse with me is that my interactions are very confrontational. Like they turn dangerous really fast. Like we saw that video where I was surrounded by 7 cops. They were in the rocking position. That means that they're ready to do a quick draw on me. 7 of them. They what is it called?
I'm looking for your image on my
me.
file as we're talking to bring it up on the video. Yep. I'll look.
Well, I'm just saying, like, what people, if you're interested, that kind of stuff where I'm surrounded by cops, they got their guns in the quick draw position, 7 of them, and they're only doing it because they profiled me and they're discriminating against me because they don't like the way I look, because of my tattoos, the way I walk, the way I talk. I'm now in a situation to where I could die if I don't handle the situation correctly. And so that happens to me all the time. People always interject what they would have or would not have done in that situation, but very rarely will you see somebody post a video like I do to where they're actually in the middle, metaphorically speaking, of a combat situation and being able to post it and walk away alive. So when Alex talks about the things he's referring to, his overtone of, incorporating spirits and bad energy, that stuff's real. And just because you can't see it, you can feel it and you know it. And you can't really put your finger on it. And so when he says things like that, he's not saying that's exactly what's happening. It's just his assumption. It's his intuition telling him that because, what else could it be? He's minding his own business. He doesn't know exactly what's happening, but next thing you know, he's in a confrontational situation to where he's in a fight or flight situation. And when it ends, all you can do is speculate, and you have to speculate on what your gut tells you. And I always tell people, trust your gut. So when he tells me something that might seem a little out in left field to normal people, as they call them, that stuff happens. And some people are magnets for that, and it's not fun. It's traumatizing, causes PTSD, it gives you a complex, and all you can do is go down a list of reasons you think that it happened. It might be because of the color of your skin, because you got face tattoos, because you talk a different way, because you have an accent, because you're wearing clothes people don't like. It's fucked up. People don't understand when you get really discriminated against, for real. It's a fucked up feeling. To me, it would be like describing it as being uncomfortable feeling, and you can't wash it off of you. Even if people think you can, because those people that think you can have never experienced that before.
Yeah. Well, it is basically
this discrimination, stereotyping, all of those things in that category. You don't understand how hurtful and confusing and scary and traumatic that is, especially when you're in a situation where you could be assaulted, you could be shot, you could be robbed. Those are variables that people like Alex and I deal with. And Alex and I are the only people you're really going to see that can document it on video and show you in real time this shit happening and unfolding. And whatever our explanation is, it's just as good of an explanation that anybody else could give, just because we're incorporating demons and ghosts and things that I know exist, Alex knows exist. What else could it be? Why else would that happen?
It's interesting seeing how the role of the police is changing also, where corporations and private companies can get the police to basically exclude someone based on race, but it'll never be stated about race. In their mind, it may or not be about race. They'll just know they don't like that person. And then like now in America, the way things are, there's a gazillion ways in which somebody can justify racism by just basically judging them with the ways in which people are judged heavily in our culture, if that makes sense. So they can just don't be overtly racist, just use the judgment of the culture against that person. Call them a conspiracy theorist.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's why I'm not saying that I'm pro-black or I'm pro-white or I'm pro-Nazi or I'm pro-human. I'm pro anybody deserves to be treated with love. And if you're doing something that deserves to have you, accosted by the police or yelled at or questioned, fine. I'm not gonna say it's based on anything other than your actions, because I saw the fucking thing. But when you're able to document it, like Alex and I have, and you see what's going on there, what else could it be? You know what I mean?
When we talk about on these websites I'm on now, go ahead.
Oh, I'm just saying that we're all different. Alex takes trauma differently than I do. You know, he expresses it in different ways. And I just think it's fucked up that when he expresses trauma that was bestowed upon him that could be documented, is provable, it's fucked up that some people, not all people, they'll dogpile on him and make fun of his explanation. When what else would you chalk it up at? You know, it's like that right there is another form of discrimination and bullying and anti-inclusion. I mean, all of those things sound stupid and gay, like being inclusive, but no, when you've experienced being excluded and excommunicated and kicked out of the circle and discriminated against and called names for no reason other than who knows what it was for, your race, religion, culture, the way you act, the way you look, it fucks you up, man. You never, ever, ever forget that, and it's scary, and you will have PTSD from it, especially if it happens all the time.
It happens all the time now for me, and it's happening all the time with therapists. After we talked last night, I talked to a therapist, and she nodded her head, and she was in that same age group that we're talking about that's really not well right now. Women of a certain particular racial demographic that are above 60. Not just them, but in particular them, those that were part of the material girl generation, those that were teenagers and in their 20s, like my mom, when she was going, I'm a material girl walking on like there was a spell cast that I sensed specifically from that specific song and creator. And I know how it harmed my mom. And I know how it harmed others. And it created like a fake paradise based on melted plastic, as we had the 80s boom of KB Toy Store and He-Man, and I'm off on a side tangent. Okay, so you said some things that I want to add on that I was going to say. So it's like someone else adds on to the psychic attack. I'm going to use that verbiage, psychic attack, where they're like they're hearing out the story, they're listening to somebody in either a therapy setting or a friendship setting. Or a friendship setting like with a woman that lasts for a few years and they become the hater. But before even that, like talking to a people for a couple of hours and then watching them take that information and use it against someone. With the therapist, and then maybe we'll talk about some tips because we're focused on solutions. You know, not just being, we're being gang stalked, we're victims. We're trying to be solution oriented. So at the end of the therapy session, which was our last with that lady, was my first and last with her, she was like, so how are you going to apply the therapy to your life? You have to, no, it's not on us, it's on you to get better. And she was basically that while that's true, she was almost suggesting like they're doing their job and doing what they're supposed to do. Well, they're not doing anything. In 8 years of talking to the professionals, I have never seen any of them except one who just quit her job like weeks ago. So I won't see her again unless my insurance will let me. She was the first one who seemed to be able to hold a back and forth conversation with me, who seemed to want me to do well. And then all of a sudden she got a mystery illness, Giovanni, and she quit. Or she just immediately decided, I'm done working here. Of course, it wasn't me, and I'm not saying it was, but I am going to point out this is a very bizarre coincidence. The second I find someone who's like agreeable, she's like, I'm out, my tooth hurts, I'm going straight to private practice. And I do believe her that it wasn't me, 'cause, like, how could it be? I just got there. So what I'm saying is, for whatever reason, I've never been able to get, quote, professional help. And we're talking about, Giovanni, me talking down on their level. Not up in the clouds going, Archons, China, solar flares. Like, you know, like one might assume. You know, I give it an hour or I give it a few days, but I start off telling them about, I say child abuse, I say PTSD, I say I was living with a schizophrenic. I use all of the professional language that they would expect, and you'd be proud of me. However, they're not impressed. They're not impressed at all that I have an idea of what's wrong with me and that I'm motivated to do something about it, and I want to see some forward movement from them to help me and actually do their job. Then I'll start saying to them, like I am going to do it, we could do it together, how I'm going to rewrite the whole trauma recovery manual. I'll even redesign the mental hospitals and the prisons. I think like that, like in like a good creator. I'm going to take your screwed up world and tell you, like a dog nose rubbed in shit, but more polite than that you need to change your ways. You need to like reinvent the way you're giving therapy. And they're hearing me talk, Giovanni, that I'm passionate and I have these strong opinions. And certain people are like, dude, you know a ton. It's almost intimidating. I got to get away from you. What the fuck? But like, yeah, I can't really hide who I am right now and play it dumb. I thought for a minute that maybe I should do like a workout channel and be sexy and take my shirt off and just act like everything's okay. Then that's me being a player just trying to get some pussy. Just to be honest with you, that's actually what's going on there. Or what, someone's money? No, pussy and a date. And we're not trying to knock that. Right now, my path is not trying to play a game. It's to attract people to this channel who like me helping them as women with these psychic attacks. And so we can say right now that what we're discussing is not specific to a man. A woman can experience it too. Okay, so I'm here by the river. I'm going to pause and hear you out. And I know that being by the river next to the negative ions is big because I know that we'll start there. I know that when I was in Texas, I kept looking at the map of where we are and it looked like Cancer. And I kept thinking just living there will make someone sick. You got to get near the water. And there is a mad rush to the water, but the water there is sick. It's lakes and it's ponds. And the lady that I was living with was say, like, with the shit the fan, we'll just drink from the trough, from the creek, with a like not even with a life straw, just drink out of the. And it's like, whoa, man! Not only are you not acting psychic, you're acting like you don't care if we die. And then that came up over and over too. Well, we'll just roll over and die. We'll go out like G's. Like if say Russia attacked Dallas or there was World War III. Well, we'll just give up and go out like G's, which didn't really make sense since I don't even have a firearm. How am I going to go out like a G with like, a fork? So I'll just pause there and let you jump in wherever. So yeah, I am by the river now, and I'm consciously wanting to use that river to clear whatever is there. But I also know, and as soon as we can get clear, we can also come back down in frequency when we go into certain areas or when we have certain things happen. I'll pause at
Yeah,
that.
well, no, yeah, you're correct. That water, the negative ion, what he's talking about is when you're near moving water, like the ocean or rivers, it gives off negative ions, and it's really good for you. And it's so healthy to go to a river or the ocean. I like the river. I love the ocean, but the river is the best place. A nice, fast moving river. Put your feet in the water and just sit next to it. And those negative ions literally will invigorate you, go in you, they'll recharge you and make you feel better. They'll calm you down. They'll take your nervous system and rebalance it. That's a big problem I have, and I know Alex has too, is we get so flipped out by what the world throws at us. It fucks up our nervous system, and it can make you sick. It can make you, it causes a lot of fucking problems inside of your body, and it can make you feel like you're having a heart attack. It can make you feel like you're having a stroke. It can make you feel like you got cancer. It can make you not be able to shit, piss, swallow. You'll see spots, like, fucks you up. Your nervous system is very, very important. Your autonomical nervous system, look up that word, autonomical nervous system. When you're completely off balance because you're constantly getting hit by whatever, throws that off. And I know Alex, like myself, I have a fast mind. We're hyper people, and we naturally are, constantly looking for balance. And it's just important to always keep in mind that that autonomical nervous system needs to be balanced, and you need to do whatever you can. And if you can get near water, if you could put your feet in there, soak up those negative ions, drink clean water, eat clean food, and just enjoy yourself, love yourself, take care of yourself, look out for yourself. That'll balance you out. That's important to do, and I always stress to Alex to do that. I'm working on that. I take my time with people now. I listen a lot more than I talk, and I'm more kinder to people. Even though, I get doors dropped in my face all the time, people don't move out of my way. I mean, I literally, I walk off sidewalks. I do everything I can to not get into confrontations because confrontation is attractive to me. And that in itself can stress you out. But at the end of the day, if I make it through the day without flipping out, without having my nervous system fucking go malfunction, if I got some good food and a good place to rest and maybe one or two good people that I know that I can talk to and confide in, you're winning, So
You said good food.
you want to be a winner.
Good food is hard to come by at an affordable price, and I have not had enough good food. And I love, just to throw it out there. And I want to do some. We could talk about it maybe off air. Some positive, carefree style videos that I can make that are not anything to do with solar flare, or psychic attack, or war, or racism, but just to start exploring happiness with what I can embrace, because I don't like fake happy. So it's really hard for me to like even grasp happy. But what I can say is, because of my genetics and whatnot, like few things make me happier than Indian food or an Indian buffet. So that's why it's really like traumatic to me to hear like people talking horrible about curry this, just because they're not Indian. It's like a knife being thrown at you, that people are just like that. I never grew up hearing people.
Curry.
I never.
Curry's not only good, but it's good for you.
It's so like the turmeric. Okay, when I go to and now can go to mention other places but Indian food was always like the most affordable in Portland for my $9 or $10. When I was in Dallas at 455 Buckingham in Dallas, they have a $10.99 buffet right there in that not great neighborhood, and that's not normal for modern Dallas prices, and it's not a cheap place to get food anymore. But it used to be. They duped a lot of people down there initially under the idea of things getting cheaper. And, whoa, we should talk about Texas and a whole other. I have a whole Texas channel plan, brother. Dallas Sun Express. I'm going to tear that city an etheric a-hole and expose some shit and help some people in Texas. That's what I'm going to do. Like Superman. I'm going to expose shit. Anyway, happiness for me is experiencing ethnic food that has different nutrients, that have different values to them, just as you're saying. Health values, that which we know, that which we don't know. And then there are even beliefs that aloe vera internalized can exorcise demons. And I began to read that literature in Texas 2 or 3 years ago while buying aloe vera plants. So like solutions, as far as like interference, we talked about water. Next to that is just obvious stuff that we can talk about. I get asked all the time if I take a deep breath or if I meditate. Not as much as I should, but I know the power in at least a few minutes of bare feet and sun exposure, as long as we're not getting fried, and getting skin cancer and getting burned. At that point, there's energy drain, which is our next topic. And so I get a lot of energy drain, I feel, from being cooked at 8,000 feet. And so there's a lot of this, me going to like public places and public parks and having to strategize to where when I'm doing a podcast like this, it's not like going to war on everybody around me. And obviously what happened before was I was doing a podcast and people were launching attacks at me afterwards. To what? To push me out of that park. Right now, they're not pushing me out of this park, but what the couples will do is they'll linger, and they'll spy as if what I'm talking about is just plain wrong, or I'm wrong, or because they profiled me as wrong, what I must be saying is wrong. And then, of course, they'll hear what I'm saying, they'll hear that I'm eloquent, they'll hear that I'm detailed, and they'll just write me off still as a nutter, and they'll fly away. Being like, okay, we spied on him. We hear that he's talking about PTSD and being persecuted. Yeah, he's still worthless. He's still crazy. Let's walk away from him. So I'll be picking up on that surveillance, basically, of the people. Meanwhile, though, the real energy is not them, as we know. It's the trees, it's the river, it's the grass, it's the sun, it's the earth. It's these elements. It's the wind, it's the fire, right? It's all those things. And so I'm looking at like those things are not against me. Those things are on my side. Anything that's against me is not nature. It's the entities and the people that have been led astray. And so with that, I'm going to pause again. My existence here has to do with the fact that the low EMF combined with the high spiritual or the high nature energy creates a higher spiritual frequency that humans can use for their own positive agenda. Next to that, like I'm in kind of like a wonderland, a labyrinth, if you will, where I have not seen 1/10 of their temples, nor do I need to. But the very fact that they thought to come here, have temples, and stay here, even if they're douchebags, narcissists, which most are, it still is a frequency that they're tapping into. We were talking about that the other day. So we don't necessarily have to be like a club or a group. We can really each be doing our own thing. But really, in order for me to survive and spiritually, I guess, or physically, is to have more caution, I think, with these people that are spiritual leaders. I did an interview, and I'll pause at this and let you listen to it. But even though me and that lady didn't get along, who was putting me down, she still did give me a lot of information. But it's still her word against everybody else. But it's basically like this person's a cult, that person's a cult, this is a cult. And then describing certain people as being the epitome of the Archons, or or a demiurge, rather, who's like a head Archon, who's basically like an evil Antichrist type figure. Yeah, yeah. So I think that it would bring a lot of happiness to me. I'm gonna pause at this in a few seconds. If I was to be able to find like a spiritual community that was inclusive, that wasn't worshiping aliens, like in Arizona, that would really reset me so I can, interact with others, eat with others, meditate with others. These things at the age of 46, I've never experienced. But on the way to achieving that, I'm going to keep up some guards for my own protection and not just, jump into bed with any club or group or person who claims to be conscious. If anything, this place is teaching me to become stronger and that people and places are not necessarily as they seem. Back to you.
Yeah, that all sounds good. Like I said, everybody's different. Alex and I are biologically different or racially different. There's a lot of differences between us. So Alex likes to be around people. He likes to interact. He likes to do things to where he can socialize. I'm kind of the opposite. I'm more of like a one-on-one type person. That doesn't mean you have to do that. It just means that's what he likes to do. Whereas there's a lot of people who like to do what he does, and there's a lot of people who like to do what I do. But then there's other things you could also do. So don't always try to fit yourself in the same box with the person next to you. You always got to keep in mind that you're different, biologically, ethically, racially, religiously, everything, different blood types. I mean, like people will ask me about diets because I work out, I look like I work out. And it's like, well, do you know your blood type? Do you know what I mean? Like it all has to do with a lot of different variables. And you got to find all the aspects and elements to your equation that equal what works for you. So take stuff from people, take advice, read books, do this, do that. But at the end of the day, you got to sort out what you can do, what makes you sweet, what makes you happy, what makes you love, what makes you hate.
That's a great place. That's a great place to wrap it up for this segment. We can also add a few more things, but I think that's a good point.
No, that's good. I think the interview is perfect interview, and we talked about really good things. I wouldn't. There's not much. I mean, like, I think you did a good job. I did a good job, and this is going to be a good